Colombia, a nation whose people, culture, and history is as colorful and diverse as the land itself. For thousands of years, it was inhabited by an amalgam of native tribes, including the Incan Empire. Then, everything changed when the conquistadors attacked. Disease, gunfire, and Toledo steel rapidly devastated the indigenous peoples, whose bloodlines only survived through intermarriage with their conquerors. This fusion of native and Spaniard became known as the Mestizo, who quickly became Colombia's largest ethnic group. Colonial Colombia was originally known as New Granada, and eventually became the rightless royalty of New Granada. As natives and mestizos could not be legally enslaved, being subjects of the Spanish crown, they were exploited under the encomienda system, in a socio-political system reminiscent of feudalism. Spanish encomienderos were granted large tracts of land and were entitled to the labor of its inhabitants. In return for enduring the yoke of serfdom, the natives were rewarded by the words of the Lord, whether they wanted to hear them or not. Throughout this period, European and indigenous cultures blended into a distinct Latin American heritage. Slaves imported from sub-Saharan Africa to replace the diseased and rebellious natives also added their own customs and traditions to the embryonic society. Over time, the development of the Latin American identity and resentment towards the Spanish for denying political authority to the Spanish-descended Creoles boiled over into a full-scale revolution. While the Spanish homeland was caught up in the tumult of the Napoleonic Wars, a provisional government was formed, and the United Provinces of New Granada was proclaimed an independent nation. The infantile country was brutally suppressed by a vengeful King Ferdinand VII, whose punitive conduct cemented colonial opposition. Revolutionary forces under the command of Venezuelan General Simón Bolívar fought to liberate the entire continent from Spanish rule, and by 1821, the first Republic of Colombia was proclaimed. But while their colonial overlords had been repelled, the people of Colombia found that the battle for control over the new nation had only just begun.